This is Viterbi Voices, the podcast, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more directly from our faculty, students, and other members of the engineering community here at the University of Southern California.
This is episode 107, a new installment of our series, This Viterbi Life. Today we talk about SC Climbing, an organization on campus for competitive and recreational climbers. Stay tuned for a great conversation with Elliott and Laurence, two engineers on the team.
Welcome back into Viterbi Voices. This is episode
107.
107. And as usual, I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And my name is Ria Chowdhury. I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering here at USC.
And my name is Audrey Roberts, and I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering at USC.
Welcome back into the podcast, Audrey. This is your second episode, is
yes.
that right? Okay. And what episode do you bring to us here today?
This one is about the climbing team at USC, which is really exciting. It's a pretty large group on campus that a lot of people are part of. So I talked to my friends Laurence and Elliott, and they've both been on it since freshman year, but kind of coming from
climbing team?
Yeah, coming from different places. Elliott had grown up climbing, and Laurence had never done any climbing before, so it was a really fun conversation to hear how they got into it here at USC.
When you say climbing, you mean rock climbing?
Yes, rock climbing.
Okay, because is there a reason it's not called the Rock Climbing Club, or they're open to other things to climb?
I feel like because they also do indoor climbing. They do indoor climbing to train.
This could just be really not knowing the difference, but isn't that still called rock climbing?
You know, I don't know. I should have asked them that. But it's
or it's just like we like to climb anything.
I think it is kind of
lamp poles, street walls. Who knows?
It did seem they do like a variety of different kinds of climbing. Like they were explaining to me, there's sort of like speed ones or like more technical. So I think maybe it's climbing because it encompasses a lot of different types of climbing.
Cool.
But
and have you done this before?
No, I'm not a climber myself, but it was really fun to hear about it because of that.
What made you want to learn more about the climbing team?
Yeah, we spoke about this a little bit in the episode, but I think in LA in particular, these sort of, not niche, but kind of very specific outdoor sports are really interesting to me, just because it's like this huge urban area, but you can go just outside of LA and find some really beautiful spots to, have some peace and climb for them. And I guess growing up in Colorado, I felt that with other sports, but I really knew nothing about climbing, so I was interested in learning more as well.
Cool. Have you ever done climbing?
No, but it's a huge thing in the Bay now. Like, it's a really big Silicon Valley thing. Like, all the tech people go and climb after work. So
really?
It's like a huge thing. It's kind of becoming big around here, too. Because one of my roommates is really into climbing, and he goes to a place like 15 minutes away to go climb. But I really want to try it, because I used to be a gymnast for like 10 years. And my brother has been climbing, and he said, like, your skill set would translate perfectly to climbing.
There's some fantastic places in the area, LA, Orange County, that are like indoor climbing facilities. They do a lot of like group bonding activities, like a group of, 25 people can go somewhere and like have competitions with one another all day, climb up different things, like race to the top, but also use teamwork to get to different places.
Yeah.
There's one facility in particular I know of that is indoors and outdoors.
Oh, that's cool.
So it does some really cool mixes of climbing and high ropes course things that are really cool. So there's some awesome stuff in the area. So I'm excited to see kind of what the climbing team does, whether they use those facilities or are they more indoor or more outdoor?
So my understanding is sort of as becoming a member of the climbing team, you get a membership at one specific type of gym that has like several locations.
Cool.
But they have practice at an indoor gym multiple times a week, and then they also do like trips to different places. Like as far as I know they go to Bishop a lot. So both right in the immediate area and, several hours away. But it seems like they're training kids indoors, and then they'll sort of briefly teach them outdoors. But once kids start climbing outside, my understanding is that at that point they kind of have the skills. And, of course, it's like a little bit of a different skill, but they have sort of the basis that they've learn from practice at these various gyms.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, it's exciting to hear about what engineering students do here all the time. Especially, it's nice to get our podcast a little bit off the engineering path for a second and talk about how, engineers have lots of different elements of their life, and they do lots of different things, they have lots of different fun. So, without further ado, let's get it over to Audrey, and who's on it? Laurence and Elliott to learn more about the climbing team here at USC.
My name is Laurence Jara. I'm majoring in astronautical engineering, and I'm from Pasadena, California.
And my name is Elliott Hoppy. I grew up in Seattle. I'm studying mechanical engineering. I'm in my second year here at USC.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And both of you are here on behalf of the climbing team here at USC.
That's right, yeah.
So can you guys share a little bit about that organization, please?
Yeah, sure. The USC climbing team is a both competitive and non-competitive team here at USC. We climb both indoors and outdoors, which is really cool. If you join, you get to hone your skills indoors in the gym, and then we like to take you outside to trips, in different places. A lot of the times we go to Bishop, California, Utah, Joshua Tree, so all these great places. Great way to get outdoors.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have any additional things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a triplet with the team. I focus more on climbing outside, and we probably get outside every other weekend, which is great. Yeah, getting a lot of people out there and improving their climbing and getting the chance to be outside and out of LA for a while, which is really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Were both of you climbers before you joined the climbing team, or?
I was, and Laurence, you were not, right?
I was not. I started exactly on October 1st when I joined the climbing team.
Yeah. Awesome.
Best decision I ever made, for sure. Yeah.
So is it like an application process then where you guys look at past experience, or can anyone join?
Anyone can join. I had absolutely no past experience climbing at all. I was, the only outdoor experience I had was, backpacking, but you don't even need any experience outdoors. It's pretty much just, if you're stoked about it, you're welcome to come.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, no, anyone can join the team, and we have a lot of total beginners join. And that's something I think is really great about it, is that you have a lot of people coming in with a lot of experience, and at the same time you have a lot of beginners coming in, and that, fosters a community of improvement. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said you were a trip lead earlier, so do the trip leads, kind of teach beginners then? How does that work with having people who've never climbed before?
I mean, most of the training part comes from the gym. We climb in gyms a lot because it's so easy. Cliffs of it is just 8 minutes away. So the goal is that you learn to climb more inside, and then, when you're more prepared to go take those skills outside, you'll do that. So there's not a lot of teaching that happens on trips because, the experience you have translates really well. And that's kind of what our goal is to get people to a level where they can climb competently and safely outside.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we've got captains for that. So it is structured like a regular sports team. And what our captains will do is they usually do all the teaching inside the gym. Sometimes they're going to do technique clinics. They do stretching. They let you, they just basically help you out with anything that you need in gym and prepare you to go outside with the trip leads later on. Yeah.
Sweet. That's so cool. And then for competitions, how, I've never even heard of, a climbing competition before, so how does that work for those of us like me?
Yeah. Yes, it is confusing because it seems like there's not a lot of objective metrics that you could put on something like climbing, so they are a little contrived by virtue of just being a subjective sport. But the way the competitions work is something called Boulder Point, or I guess it's actually changed for sport climbing, but the main, the gist of it is that there's a bunch of climbs set in a gym. They're each assigned a point value based on their relative difficulty, and then you basically have at the set for 3 hours, so you can climb as many things as many times as you want. Put as many attempts on things as you want, and you basically take the top 5 of those scores for bouldering competitions and the top 3 of those scores for sport. Sport being on ropes. Mm-hmm. And then from there, a top section of those move on to regional and national competitions.
That's so cool. Do both of you compete?
I
did.
I did actually too. I'm not competing this year mainly due to just time commitment. But I competed in bouldering, and speed. And speed climbing is just a newer form of climbing, and it's basically a standardized wall across the nation, and you just get up it as fast as you can. It's pretty straightforward, and it's really fun. And then, Elliott, did you do both bouldering and sport?
Yeah. Or? I just did bouldering and speed last year. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to compete this year just because the number of weekends I have to get outside and climb is pretty limited, unfortunately, being a full-time college student.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to focus more on my outdoor climbing and, that personal development
definitely.
That's exactly where I'm at, yeah.
But I'll probably come back to it because it's really fun to actually be good at something.
Yeah.
I realized as I get older and older that I have fewer and fewer opportunities to actually win.
That's fair.
In adult life, you don't get medals. So I would love to come back to competition, and when I have a little more time on my hands, and actually try to win.
Yeah, I definitely will train with the competition team though, because it's like my technique like improves like tenfold whenever I'm climbing with them. So I'll definitely train with them. But yeah.
So, kind of both of you touched on not having enough time to compete. So, what is like a weekly sort of schedule for the climbing team? Like, what sort of commitment is it? And how much is in the gym? How much is just sort of trips? Yeah. What does that look like?
So I would say the climbing team's really cool because it's all what you make of it. So when I first started climbing, I climbed like 6 days on and then like rested 1 day. So I was climbing 6 days a week. That's not at all required though. It's pretty much you go into the gym anytime you want, any time of day. We have people going like in the morning, afternoon, and night. And we like host formal practices twice a week. So if you want to climb with your captains, if you have questions for them, if you want like a big group of SE people to climb with, like we'll do that twice a week, and a little more for the competition team. But yeah, it's pretty much you go when you want to go and you do what you want to do.
And are the formal practices, they're just like at gyms around LA, right?
Mm-hmm. So cool. Yeah, what's really cool is we get like Touchstone gym memberships, and they're like a big chain of gyms that are scattered across the length of California. And there's about 4 of them in our immediate vicinity here. So we go from Culver City to downtown LA to Hollywood to Burbank. So there's a lot of options. Both of them have ropes and bouldering. So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool to have Touchstone, sponsoring the team like that, because we get these cheap memberships, and then they're all over California. So when I drove down here from Seattle in the fall, I actually just stopped all the way down to California to climb. It was actually really fun.
Yeah. Touchstone road trip.
Yeah, I call it the Tour to Touchstone.
They also do this little fun like competition series like across California. So we have a few people that will like travel to the Bay Area to go climb in those gyms, which is really fun.
It's like the beer league softball equivalent of a climbing comp. It's so much fun.
It's so fun.
That is so. Wait, so how many people are on the climbing team then? If you have people all over doing this,
we've actually got. Last time I checked the roster, we're actually collecting more, so more people are signing up right now. Last time I checked the roster, it was like around 110 people. A lot less compete because a lot of people don't feel like competing, and it's not required at all. Yeah. But 110.
So are all these people at your formal practices each week? Or
no.
Oh my god.
Since they're at a certain time and on a certain day, you're not going to get everybody to get out there, and it's not at all required of them. That's more like an option if you want a big group of people to climb with. But a lot of our members are there's no way that you're forced in any way to interact with us. So a lot of our members come in super good climbers, and we'll see them in the gym. We're always friendly, but a lot of the time they want to practice inside, and their main goal is to go outdoors, and so they'll do that more often. So you see, but it's still a community. We still see each other a lot. We still all know each other's names. We still say hi when we're all campus. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you touch on the community aspect of it a little more? Because I think obviously as a freshman, that's kind of what you're looking for immediately, is some sort of group or whatnot to join, to find people who you can have fun with outside of class, right? Yeah,
no, totally. The climbing team was huge for me as a community my freshman year, because I came in to SC knowing that growing up in Seattle, that it was going to be a big difference coming to South Central LA, and especially in both in terms of the people that I meet and the things that I have at my disposal to do, and ways to fill my time. And so even before I came down here, I was emailing the climbing team, because I was what I was doing at the time, and I was climbing pretty much every day in Seattle at that point. and I was emailing them, saying, how do I get on the team as soon as I get down here? And yeah, those are absolutely my first friends. Were actually a bunch of the seniors from last year. So yeah, they're graduated now, but we still keep in touch. We talk about want to go back to Bishop and finish old projects that I was working on with them. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I'm still in touch with a bunch of alumni at this point from the climbing team, but that was like my whole community for pretty much my whole freshman year. I was climbing pretty much every night, every other night, with the same group of probably 10 or 15 seniors.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was a really good way to have a community to jump right into in the university.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say the same. I mean, I joined like a month later than Elliott in October because it took some convincing of my parents. Like the only reason why I didn't do formal sports anymore, I used to play soccer and lacrosse, was because I had too many concussions, so like can't play anymore. So I was like, climbing. And I hadn't really thought much about it, and they finally said yes, and I joined, and I definitely found like some of my best friends there. Pretty much till this day, like all the people I hang out with started from that team. And a lot of them are the seniors that graduated, so it's a really cool environment because not only do you have the people on the team that are a part of your community, but like that stays with alumni too. We have like all these Facebook groups that like link us to the alumni and stuff like that, and I definitely still hang out with them, and they're definitely still some of my best friends. And actually my job on the team is I'm the marketing and like social chair of the team.
Awesome.
So I plan all the community events and stuff like that. So we do a lot of stuff together. We do a lot of like movie screenings with famous climbers and directors, which is super cool.
Have you seen the new one? I literally have no idea.
Okay, there were a few actually. There was one that was called Free Solo with Alex Honnold.
Okay.
That's about him climbing El Cap. Basically, free soloing is like
of.
climbing with no ropes, no harness, only your shoes and your chalk bag. El Cap is what, like 3,000
something like that
feet. So yeah, he did it in 3 hours and 56 minutes. Just all in one go, climbed this insane route. He was actually the first one to do it, so that's what Free Solo was about. We had a few screenings of that with Honnold. He was there, which was really cool. And with the directors, actually one this past week, and we had both of the directors come and talk to us afterwards. And then we did one of the Dawn Wall, which is about Tommy Caldwell and Kevin Jorgensen climbing this face. So these are all big walls in Yosemite, by the way. And you're climbing the face called the Dawn Wall. It's basically where the sun hits in Yosemite first, and nobody had ever really put a route up it because it was so flat. And so he spent, was it like 2 weeks on the wall?
I mean, yeah, the whole project was multiple years.
Well, yeah, he spent a total of 7 years figuring out how to climb it, but when they did their final push, they spent 2 weeks living on the wall, putting up porter ledges, living in a tent, like eating up there, doing everything up there on that wall. They're both really great films. I would definitely consider going to see them. And we actually got a chance to hang out with Tommy Caldwell and Kevin and two of their directors also. And they did like a whole signing. They did a Q&A with the team. They took pictures.
Laurence has been saying that she got invited to like the VIP thing.
I did get invited to the VIP thing because I planned it. It was really cool. We like Red Bull Media House put on this awesome cocktail party with like all of the people that were involved with the film, and Kevin and Tommy, and all of these people that are involved with rock climbing films, like in the industry. So Jimmy from Free Solo was actually there. So it was just like all these famous climbers all in one space down in Santa Monica. It was really cool to hang out with them.
Yeah. It's been really cool with these screenings too, to meet the filmmakers.
Yeah.
Especially because you look at a lot of these shots, and at first you're looking at it, you're like, wow, what they're doing is amazing. And then if you step back a second, you look at the shot and you go, how on earth did they get that shot?
Like what we in the Q&A with Jimmy and Chai, who did Free Solo, like they were saying their team of, I think it was like 10 or 11 filmmakers and like cameramen are all professional climbers. They've all put up these routes themselves on El Cap and all these big walls. And so like you've got all these trained people that are also just amazing filmmakers at the same time, like doing these crazy shots. They're like hanging off the wall with like pounds of cameras and gear on them too. Like incredible. It's just insane. And especially with Free Solo, it was shot in a way that Alex couldn't see them the whole time, so that it wouldn't mess with his headspace. So you're like, where are they hiding on this wall? Like while he's climbing the whole time? It's really great.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw like it was a short film about the making of that film, and it was talking about sort of like the ethical dilemma of they're filming this, but what if he falls? And it's like, obviously Alex is their friend, so it was kind of fascinating.
Yeah, hearing Jimmy talk about it was almost chilling, because he's like, I want Alex to accomplish this. Like, he's one of my best friends. I really want to see him reach this goal, because I know he'll never be satisfied if he didn't, but I'd hate to be filming and just see him slip out of the shot. Like, it's terrifying, because, like, there's no surviving that.
Right.
So, there is a huge ethical dilemma, but it's also, like, you can't hold somebody back from their goal, and he's going to do it either way, so you might as well help him through it. Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you guys do, like, any filming of you guys climbing in that way, or?
We do a lot of photography.
We do a lot of photography.
We see your photos.
Yeah.
We do a lot of photography. Shameless plug for our Instagram. It's Children Climbing. I also run that, so if you like the feed,
give it a follow.
You're welcome.
Jack Green is a freshman on the team, or Giacomo Green, rather. He's a really accomplished photographer, actually, and he's on our trips. He's been producing amazing content out of
photos.
What honestly is me falling and not climbing that well, but
he makes you look good.
He makes me look good.
That's all you need, right?
And it's the best thing ever. He's so enthusiastic about it. I love having Jack around. Yeah, he takes amazing photos. I strongly suggest, like, just go look at them. They're really great.
Cool. Yeah, I think kind of hearing you guys talk about the film and everything, there's something to be said. Like, LA is sort of this really strange place because it's this huge city, and, like, it kind of has connotations of being, like, super materialistic, and I think that's present for sure. But in these, I don't want to say niche, but these communities for, like, different kinds of athletes, like surfers, skiers, you know, whatnot, I think you can really find, like, this, like, cool, genuine part of LA, because there's so much natural beauty around here.
Exactly.
I don't know, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I love about climbing is it shrinks not only LA, but it shrinks the world. It sounds like, you know, huge and exaggerating to say that, but I mean, when I go out and climb in Bishop, I will often, you know, that's 270 miles away, I will run into people I know all the time. I love that. You know, you got Highball Mike. Mike. He's one of the locals. He's a fascinating character. I really like climbing with him. He's very in tune with his, like, mental processes, and he'll dictate them out to you about like how the interplay of, like, fear and confidence goes down in his head. So he's fun to climb with. Or, like, there was a boulder problem that I was projecting, that's, you know, working on for a long time, and it was a project of mine for probably a year. I could not finish it. No. But,
so project meaning, like, you're looking at, like, the rocks.
Project. It just means, like, it's like a kind of a stupid made up term, projecting, but it just refers to having a boulder problem that is a project of yours, which means you're, like, trying it, you know, over and over again.
This isn't like a climbing thing. Or
no. It's a climbing thing, but it's just you know, it's something that you're trying over and over again. You're training for. You're, you know, thinking about visualizing. It's just the process of putting a lot of time into figuring out how you're going to climb something. That climbers will refer to that as projecting. But so I had this long-term project, and what was funny was basically a year after I'd first tried it, I came back and actually finished it coincidentally with the same woman with whom I'd first tried it a year before, who was there projecting it on the same day. And it's just, and I was like, oh my God, Annette, like, you know, how are you doing? But it's crazy, man. That's this community that's always there. I can go pretty much anywhere, and if I can find a climbing gym, it's cliche, but it's a group full of friends. I moved to Juneau when I finished high school, and Juneau it's kind of an antisocial town if you're not in the in crowd. And I mean, you know, sorry, I love Juneau, but, you know, it's hard to meet people, especially because there's not a lot of young people there. But yeah, I joined the climbing gym there, and immediately would just, like, have the same, you know, 20 faces that I would see there. I got to be really good friends with a handful of people just because, you know, I didn't even have their phone numbers. I would just show up there, and they'd be there, and we would climb, and it was, you know, it made me felt like I belonged in a place where I clearly didn't. So it was really nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think you know, finding groups of people like that, just having a shared interest. I guess that's kind of like engineering too. You find that a lot in like different areas.
We find the struggle together.
You find the struggle together for sure. Probably true with climbing too.
Absolutely. I know. I think that's why you see such a big overlap with engineers or STEMmy people in climbing or other outdoor sports. It's because it produces a challenge, a very different challenge than like engineering does. But like, I'm not going to say that we like failure, but we've like become accustomed to it and we know how to bounce back from it. So like, it's not as intimidating to us.
It's a different challenge than oil painting.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think no. I mean seriously, and then you look at something like the design process where failure is such an integral part of it. And I genuinely agree. I think that's there's a reason that so many people who are oriented towards this, what doesn't work, okay, fix this, try again, kind of attitude. I totally think that there's a reason for that overlap.
That's really interesting. Do you think too, in like the technical, this is like me totally going out on a limb here, but in the technical aspects of climbing, do you find any sort of crossover to engineering, or is it more like
definitely
a little bit
to physics?
No, definitely a little bit with rope systems.
Especially
just like, I mean, this is very simple, physics, but vector algebra essentially. Seriously, it comes.
It always comes again.
I know. It'll totally come and bite you because when you're designing rope systems, you have to be really cognizant of angles and the way that can multiply forces. Especially because when you're climbing with bolted protection, so that's you're clipping your rope into bolts that are glued or driven into the wall, depending on the rock type. The force on those, the direction doesn't matter quite as much. But when you're doing what's called traditional climbing, or trad climbing, where you're placing your own gear, that's removable pieces as you're going up. So that's camming devices that will expand in cracks, or what's called passive protection, which is just basically nuts, not too unlike. Not all that unlike a lug nut that you would see on a bolt or something, that you're simply placing in cracks, and direction becomes really important. And so there is actually, it's not as much hard math, but a lot of guesstimation that you get better at.
For that. That's tough. Oh my gosh, well that's so cool. I have learned so much. Thank you guys so much. And one last thing, how can anyone interested in joining the climbing team, whether they're like a freshman or maybe a prospective student who's super amped about climbing, how do they reach you guys?
Definitely. So your best bet's going to be our Facebook page. It's called SC Climbing. Basically, that's going to have all the information on how to join, when we're collecting dues. If we're doing like any recruitment events, we do a lot of like climb with the team type of stuff, or we'll take people out to Point Doom in Malibu and like teach them how to climb outside for the first time on top rope. So if you want to learn anything more about that, you can go to SC Climbing, which is a Facebook page. And yeah, if you're interested in like joining right now, we are taking members for the next 3 months, so for the rest of the semester, and we'll be collecting dues until next Friday, the 25th. So you've got some time.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And that just about wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and now we are on Spotify, so shoot us a follow there, and we'll catch you next week.